It's not easy running a local Black-owned news organization, but the strength, I believe, in the resolve of so many of these publishers is what really keeps me excited doing the work, keeps me engaged in doing my job and working with them. You know, these are tough times, and I'm just happy that I can walk side by side with them and really give them some support.
Welcome to Keep It Local, a podcast of the Local Media Association. The Local Media Association is intensely focused on helping local media companies discover new and sustainable business models. Welcome to Keep It Local. My name is Ryan Welton with Local Media Association, and I am delighted to be joined by Piscataway High School basketball legend, Villanova's own, and NBA champion with the Los Angeles Lakers, John Celestand. But the reason we're talking today is your most recent role as program director and now head of funding with Knight LMA BloomLab, a really important program in the world of journalism. So, John, let's start at the beginning. What is BloomLab? How did you get involved with it? And why is it so important?
Yeah, well, thank you for the generous introduction, Ryan. BloomLab, at least how BloomLab started. BloomLab was a $3.2 million initiative funded by the Knight Foundation to really aid in the sustainability and the advancement of Black-owned local media organizations. When we talk about advancement, we think about a few things: increasing digital revenue for the organizations. When we think about sustainability, we think about assisting them with their organizational structure, their operational efficiency, and also making sure they have the technology tools and resources really to position themselves as modern newsrooms, modern news organizations. Within the BloomLab, there are three directors. Myself, originally as the program director, my title's changed, which I'll talk about a little later. April Palali, she's the technology director. And Robert Walker-Smith, he's our digital revenue director. You know, we work with 25 Black-owned news organizations all across the country. We're geographically diverse, West Coast, Midwest, East Coast, down South. I think our oldest publisher is the Baltimore Afro. They're about 135 years old. I actually went to their 135th anniversary gala because I live not too far from Baltimore here in Silver Spring, Maryland. We have some really younger publications as well that are less than 10 years old. So really over the first 3 years, our model, it's a little bit different than it is now. But at first, we started working with all 25 publishers and just providing technology training, digital revenue training, training on operational efficiency, communication, et cetera. Each publication was awarded $50,000, a $50,000 stipend to upgrade their technology stack. So that's their CRM, their CMS, social media tools, project management tools, video capability, you name it. We met with the publishers on a one-on-one basis, on a one-on-one basis monthly as a group. We also met with them monthly. All three digital revenue directors did one-on-ones with them. We also did in-person site visits with many publishers where we spent a day and a half with their organizations, met their entire staff. I really feel like those in-person site visits was probably the most effective thing that we did. As far as the model now, it's a little bit different. I've moved into the head of funding role where I help publications identify and apply to grant funding, in addition to helping them develop donor campaigns, fundraising strategy, et cetera. So I work with 6 publications. Robert Walker-Smith works with around 6 to 7 publications as well when it comes to digital revenue, trying to increase their digital revenue. And April's working with about 10 of those organizations around technology, tools, and resources, and really helping them upgrade that. So we've been doing this for about 3 years, a little over 3 years now, and it's just great work.
You have a body, a good sample size of information to work from, and I love a good list. So are there a handful, 2, 3, 4, 5 learnings that you've taken away from the years as program director and now as head of funding? Are there some learnings, some mistakes you've made? What does that look like?
Yeah, I think if I had to think of the first learning, I say I think we really need to do our due diligence when we're looking at organizations to see if they're a fit for the Bloom Lab. Because what we do is really intense, especially at the beginning when we were working with 25 publications. It's a lot of meetings. So really looking at organizations, organizational capacity. Do they have enough folks to be able to attend meetings and to be able to implement some of the things that we're trying to do from a technology standpoint, from a revenue standpoint? I think doing a better job of really screening folks before we accept them into the Bloom Lab, I think would help us. I've also learned you can't put the cart before the horse. And when I say that, our main focus at the beginning was really making sure publishers were really engaged in digital transformation, right? Many of them were in danger of being left behind, being that so many of them have historically relied on print for their revenue. Our job was to make sure they understood that digital had already taken over and that they need to get on that train. And I think we've been successful. We've been able to relay that message. But in focusing it on technology and digital revenue, I think we sometimes can forget, or we did forget about the basic business structure and operational things that have to be addressed as well. You know, onboarding and offboarding employees, developing strategic plans and goals for your organization, training and upskilling your current employees, attracting, retaining younger workers, delegating for those in leadership positions, identifying up and coming talent. All of those things, I think, were very important. And it's something that if I did it over again, I would make sure that we really focus on those areas. I also learned that these publishers, they're really resilient. You know, there are a number of these publications that are second, third, even fourth generation, right? Meaning many of them have had folks that have owned the business, passed the business down, then passed it down again to the next generation. Many of them have had to fight to stay in business. Some have had to innovate to keep up with modern newsrooms. Some have gone through leadership changes. Many have had their top talent poached over the years and had to adjust. So really, it's not easy running a local Black-owned news organization, but the strength, I believe, in the resolve of so many of these publishers is what really keeps me excited doing the work, keeps me engaged in doing my job and working with them. You know, these are tough times. Many are fighting against anti-DEI rhetoric and are trying to fight and figure out a path forward. And I'm just happy that I can walk side by side with them and really give them some support.
That sounds fantastic. And you're speaking my language when you talk about digital transformation, by the way. And I have an idea of what that might look like for some organizations, but I also know in 2025, we're in the very infancy of the AI transformation. Has that been a part of digital transformation in your experience?
Well, when we first started the Bloom Lab, AI was, you think this is 3 years ago, right? AI was just starting. You were starting to hear the buzz. Not that AI wasn't around, but I'm talking about the conversations around how influential AI was going to be. So I think around the year point at the first year, I think we started in 2022. So around that 2023, we started to have robust conversations around AI and how transformative it was going to be. I still don't think we knew how transformative. So now we're continuing to have those conversations when we meet with the Bloom Lab publishers. Obviously, folks are using the regular things like ChatGPT and all these other things that you can use to help refine content. But there are so many other tools and resources that I know our technology director, April Palali, is really introducing a lot of the publications to. And it's been a hot topic. Every conference you go to, the conversations is around AI. At first, I think that there was some hesitation around embracing AI for many folks because folks, think about it, in the journalism community, in the journalism industry, we're a little weary about, okay, does this mean it's going to take my job? Does this mean we're not going to need writers? Does this mean as an editor, I'm not going to be around? But I think folks are starting to realize that there are opportunities out there to utilize AI to be more efficient, and also opportunities to learn other opportunities and jobs around AI that you can also be looking in and leaning into. So I think things have changed. We're still moving forward. But AI is a big conversation in all the work that we're doing.
You know, another consternation about AI in the journalism world is trust. It's very important for newsrooms to be transparent about how they use AI, and trust in news media organizations is just a point of conversation for everybody. And this segues into my next question and the role of Black-owned media in their communities. They have the trust of their communities. But are there other areas of importance that maybe I'm not aware of? Talk about the importance of Black-owned media to their communities.
Yeah, it's ultra important. Black-owned media, as you said, Ryan, is a trusted source of information in many of their communities. And mostly all of their communities. Black folks want to hear about the issues that most affect the Black community. They want to hear it in a way that they're familiar with, and they want to hear it from folks that are of their communities. It's very different when folks come in swooping into your community to report or talk about your community, as opposed to when somebody is of the community, grew up in the community, knows the community. So these Black-owned news organizations are trusted resources. They're trusted sources of information. And especially for those who have been around for hundreds of years, people know that our organizations are the go-to source for information. Now, what I do always tell our publications, though, is not to rely on that you've been the trusted source. We need them to continually survey and talk with their audience so they can remain that way. Sometimes falling back on your own history and thinking, well, we know we're the trusted source of information in our community. And I like to push back sometimes and say, how do you still know that? When's the last time you did a readership survey? When are you doing community listening sessions where you're going and you're talking to stakeholders within your community to make sure that's still the case? Now, many times I know that's still the case, but I still push back to make sure that we are current and up to date with the needs of the community. And it's so important, to keep these publications around, because I'm not sure other publications can tell the Black story and talk about the Black issues like the Black press.
In many ways, it's sounding to me like LMA BloomLab is like a collaborator, a partner, even an accountability partner. Sometimes we need people to push back against the way we've always done things.
Absolutely. The LMA BloomLab, to me, has been a great collaboration. One, the technology, the tools, the resources, the digital transformation, our ability to help these publications increase their digital revenue, and really, really having the support of the Knight Foundation. Because remember, this was supposed to be only 3 years at the beginning. We just renewed, and now we have more time to work with these publications, because you can only do but so much work in 3 years, right? This is an ongoing process. And with the changing landscape now, with the new administration and then the push, the anti-DEI push, these publications are going to need even more help. But their ability to collaborate and learn from one another. We bring in industry experts all the time to talk with these publications. We give them opportunities to share what's working in their organizations. Many of them are in different jurisdictions, different parts of the country, so they're not competing directly with one another, so they don't have a problem sharing information with one another. And many of them have known each other for years. There are a lot of publications that the publishers know their mothers, their wives, husbands, children. So it's a close-knit family. And, I'm just happy to be a part of it and hope that we can continue to keep supporting these organizations.
You mentioned a number of what I would consider to be existential challenges. There are multiple existential challenges to the fourth estate as a whole, but I would have to imagine, especially with Black-owned media, are there some sort of under-talked about challenges, whether it be in journalism from your perspective in general or specifically in the Black-owned media community?
Well, I would say trying to find really talented young folks who still want to be journalists, right? The journalism landscape is changing. We're on a podcast right now, right? So how you produce news and information for this new audience is changing, and we need younger folks that want to be a part of this. to join these Black-owned news organizations. But there are so many platforms and ways that you can deliver and disseminate information now that a lot of young folks are not going the traditional journalism route, not going to traditional journalism organizations, and are doing things on their own or are creating their own platforms. So although I love the entrepreneurism of it all, and I love the diversification of who's delivering the information, for me, that's a little bit of a challenge for traditional media outlets, still trying to get young folks out of college, young folks in their 20s and late 20s, early 30s that want to be a part of traditional media outlets.
How many newsrooms would you say are part of BloomLab now? And let's say that this reaches a newsroom who says, you know what, I feel like John's talking to me. How can I get involved?
Yeah, we're working with 25 media organizations still. We're working more closely with 12, I would say we're working more closely now with maybe about 15 or 16 of them that have joined what we called our shared services platform. So basically, folks are utilizing the tools and the skills of all three directors: Digital Revenue Director Robert, technology with April, and for me, funding, right? Philanthropic funding. And they're utilizing us as a tool within their organizations as consultants and also as an extension of their organizations. So we're still working with all 25. We're just not doing as much extensive work with all 25, but we do have a monthly webinar that we put together where everybody can come and join. It's just that we do have a select group that are paying a fee to utilize our consulting services right now. I know as we expand BloomLab over the next couple of years, we may be looking for other folks to join BloomLab or other folks that we may want to work with outside of the 25 that we're working with. But that remains to be seen as we continue to see who joins the shared services when it comes to year 2 and year 3. But I do think there's opportunities for us to open this up to other newsrooms as well.
I always want to give folks an opportunity to allow the audience to connect with them on social or whatever platform you prefer. John, where can folks connect with you?
Yeah, well, I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn. It's just my last name. I'm on LinkedIn. I don't post as much as I used to, but I'm making it my duty to post on LinkedIn a little bit more. Sometimes I write articles for wordandblack.com, which is a collaboration that started here at LMA and has 10 BloomLab publishers as a part of it. I post those on LinkedIn. But I'm on LinkedIn, not as often as I used to be, but I'm there. So if folks want to reach out to me, it's just my name, John. My last name, Celestand, at LinkedIn. You can look me up and you can find me. That's probably the best place to find me.
Fantastic. And thank you so much for your time. Is there anything that I didn't get to that you want to make sure is part of this podcast?
I would just say, for those out there, continue to support the Black press if you already are. If you are not, find a local Black-owned news organization in your jurisdiction that may be able to give you good information on the Black community. And again, you don't have to just be African American or Black to support the Black press. You don't have to be just African American to read about information in the Black community. The Black community is a part of the entire community. And I think sometimes when folks think of the Black press, they think, oh, well, it's not for me. No, the Black community is one part of the entire community. It's all of our community. And I just want people to be able to support. If you can donate to some of those organizations, if you can find a few that really resonate and, their mission resonates with you, give to the Black press, because we need to keep these organizations around, not just for the sake of Black communities, but for the sake of America, because the Black community is the American community.
John, you can't see it, but that just gave me goosebumps on the back of my neck. It really did. It fired me up very much so. John Celestand, everybody. My name is Ryan Welton with Local Media Association, and this is Keep It Local. This has been Keep It Local, a podcast of the Local Media Association. If you got value out of today's podcast, why not give it a review wherever you heard it and share it with a fellow journalist or an entire newsroom? Until next time, for Keep It Local, This is Ryan with the Local Media Association.